Are you the one? There are almost 8 billion people in the world, but are you the one that needs hope? In this very moment, there are 332 million people in the US, but are you the one that feels alone? Good news is, you're not alone. While 80,000 thoughts will bombard you today and can feel chaotic, just one thought can potentially bring you peace and free you. Join us today, together with our guests, as we sift through the challenges, pains, questions, and victories in life. In sharing our stories, are you the one that will be inspired to take the next step toward fully living the purposeful and abundant life God created for you? Welcome to Are You the One?
It's so good to be back again. I'm incredibly excited for this day. And my question is always, are you the one? Like, are you the one who's going to be inspired? Are you the one who's going to be given hope? Are you the one who's going to see yourself in the stories that we're going to tell today? And my name is Trish, and we are so glad that you are here with us on Are You the One show. And my guest today is an old-time friend of mine who I've known for 15 years, and we've had a great journey together. So I want to introduce Steve.
Hello, world. How are you? I'm Steve. It's great to be sitting here. It's kind of interesting and ironic. I actually grew up on that street right behind me. You could actually almost see the corner of the house I grew up in. Good and bad memories. And it's just exciting to be here, and just an amazing journey that I've been on as well.
Yeah. And we were talking earlier, and so just so you know, Steve and I have like many friends together and family friend, and we've done ministry together for a long time. And his journey is one of those journeys that I look at and I say, yeah, I see you're really at work in this, God. You're really at work in this man. And even so much that even last night, like another great God thing that had happened. So what I'd really like to do is, you said to me earlier, that question, are you the one, like really resonates with me. So talk about that a little bit, why that question resonates with you, Steve.
Yeah, I kind of see it on two different angles. In my addiction, in my darkest walk, it would be several moments to where I would be asking that question in the form of, am I the only one here? Am I the only one feeling this? Am I the only one this desolate? You know, am I the only one who feels like there's no hope? That's how I viewed this phrase. You know, am I the only one that's gone from college athlete to sleeping in dumpsters, you know? And then in retrospect, I look now in my recovery and in my walk with God, it's like, am I the one has taken on a whole new meaning? You know, it's like, I'm the one that God loves. I'm the one who deserves this. I'm the one walking that path now. And it's all by the loving grace of God.
Yes, yeah. And so, you know, you kind of like slid over that little part, right, from college athlete to living in dumpsters. And we're not going to spend a lot of time on that, but that's a fall that happens the minute that addiction enters, right? I mean, you can be, I have plenty of friends that will attest to that. Doesn't matter where you are. Once addiction enters, then it can take you. Like, the enemy never shows you where you're going. He just shows you like this will feel good for the moment, or this will take away this pain, or type of a thing. And he doesn't show you like where it's going to be 6 months from now or 6 years from now. And so you did that fall, and that fall came pretty quickly, right?
Yes. You know, I can remember just starting out with the occasional drug use after alcohol, and the downward spiral happened so quick. I can't even pinpoint how quick it was. But the next thing I knew, it was just going to be run-ins with the law, near-death experiences, just seeing the darkest spots, places where I still wonder if they were even real. They were so dark, But the enemy was so happy to have me, and I just kept indulging in all of the things that he threw in front of me. But it's like there's always a way out. I just didn't see it. I didn't really try recovery. I was told I needed to recover on several occasions. And
Shock.
Yeah.
Somebody would tell you after living in dumpsters and that you would need recovery.
I mean, they were like, actually your company is not really welcome and it's not that fun, which was a shocker. But I attempted recovery. I went through halfway houses. I spent months there and actually did quite well, but there was always that missing piece. I was just doing soul recovery and skipping over the true important thing that was going to get me sober.
Right. And honestly, that's part of what we've discovered along the way is recovery. I'm the daughter of an alcoholic. And what I can tell you after being around it for years is that apart from God, apart from a living, breathing relationship with God, you are at best are managing your recovery, right? Mm-hmm. And at some point, it's going to fall away.
Yes.
And that's really, and we use the term recovery, but to be honest, anything that separates us from God, anything that separates us from the call on our life, who God's designed us to be, is what we need to recover from. And so sometimes people hear the word recovery, and don't you think they think, oh, it's just like alcohol and drugs,
mm-hmm. Yes.
Right? But it isn't. The truth is that recovery is whatever has separated you from God, or whatever is pulling you away from God, is what you need to be recovered from. And Jesus, I always say, the very first recovery meeting, what happened when Jesus came mm-hmm. and his disciples. And that was the first recovery meeting that ever happened. I mean, that's what Jesus came, right, to do for us. So, but you didn't know Jesus at that time, did you?
No, I didn't. Recently I was I was traveling. And I tend to overpack a little bit. For some reason, I need 25 pairs of underwear and enough socks to cover a baseball team's feet. And I overpacked this suitcase at about maybe 100 pounds and totally didn't need it. And got to O'Hare Airport in Chicago, and the wheel broke. And so I'm now in this gigantic long airport hauling around this overpacked suitcase with a broken wheel. And that's just kind of like how I went. That suitcase represented everything that was ever said to me, like, you're a loser, you're never going to make it. I added things to the suitcase telling myself I'm a loser, I'm never going to make it, and I'm just lugging that around like I had been in those days of recovery. And it's kind of like God took that off of me, that skit guy's thing about the baggage, it's so real, it's so true. That suitcase represented everything that I've been carrying around and not being able to stay sober. And now that, God had taken that away, there's just that freedom. And now I can actually live the life that I'm supposed to, the life that God intended me to have.
So how did God intersect your life?
When I went through a recovery house, can I say Crossroads?
Sure.
I went to Crossroads.
Give them props.
Yes,
yeah,
Crossroads. Yes. I had 5 stays there, and I did the recovery. I did the steps. I got the sponsor, rinse, tumble, spin, dry, and kept relapsing. I remember a guy, Randy, who did my intake, and which was kind of a terrifying guy because he was like, I don't know, he just blew me away.
He could read you.
He could read me like a book.
Like an open book.
Yeah. His eyes went through me and was just like, you're a liar. And I was just like, wow, he knows. He knows too much. So later on, I'm just at about 10 months in my fourth time of trying to get sober. Actually met my wife, but at that time, the girl I was trying to date, and she invited me to this Celebrate Recovery. And so I decided to go to the Celebrate Recovery. And when I got there, up on stage singing to Jesus was that Randy dude. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on here, And that just kind of cracked the door for me. I seen everybody singing, and, I looked over and they're happy. And this recovery part is like a whole different angle. And so I kind of let the light in a little bit, kind of kept my foot in the door and just kind of listened a little bit. And then I continued to attend. My motives was to get to know my future wife, but something else happened. And it started to resonate, and it started to kind of show me who was really in charge and what this was really about, And then it just kind of just started to sink in, and next thing you knew, I was starting to accumulate years attending church, Celebrate Recovery leadership, and I wouldn't change any of that for the world.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things I always love, because it's who God is, right? And that is, people would show up, just like people show up to church for very different motives, right? People would show up to recovery, Celebrate Recovery, with different motives, wanting a date. Okay, that was a big one, right? We always had a lot of separating people out from that. Woo! And they'd show up because it was free babysitting, and they wanted to be away from their kids for the night. It was free food. They didn't have to cook. Yeah. So there are all kinds of mixed motives that people would show up. And same thing, by the way, on a Sunday morning. People show up with mixed motives. Okay, but God met everybody right where they're at. And it was crazy to watch that in people. And you're like one of the prime examples of that.
Yeah, and in that walk, I go back to a real strained relationship with my parents because of what I put them through. Actually, in that house just back there once, I remember my mom looking through the blinds saying, we love you, but the cops are on their way, And, that was just the life I had. But, it's just been such an amazing journey through that Celebrate Recovery that, I was, able to help others. That was, I think, what really was the turning point, that I was able to just have people come and say, hey, Steve, this is what's going on with me. And then I'd be like, wow, I can relate to that. And then I would give them that feedback, and then just kind of seeing them return every week, what a beautiful feeling that was.
Yeah. And that whole idea of sometimes in church, we think that somebody has to be at a certain point before they can be helpful to others. And that's actually not true. You can have one day of knowing the Lord, and you can reach back for that person behind you, right? And so watching that happen, and how that actually grows us, because we're born for that. We've been designed to serve. And so when we actually begin doing that, it helps us in our own walk, whether it could have nothing to do with drugs and alcohol. But every single one of us has an area that the enemy has had some influence in. And as God walks us on that journey, and we could have one more day, I always say, hey, I'm probably 6 hours ahead of you on this issue, but this is what I've learned in these 6 hours. This is who God is, and this is how powerful he is. So you were on that journey, you were helping others, and then your soon-to-be wife, these guys got married at our Celebrate Recovery, right?
Yes. We had our marriage put on at Celebrate Recovery, which was amazing because half the audience was our peeps and the other half was CR peeps, and it just made for a really cool evening. But everything stemmed from my conversations with God. I had to love myself first before any of this ever happened. And that was the hardest one to conquer, was getting to love myself. That that relationship with my parents, I was able to repair. And in the last couple of years of my father's life, it was loving. It was tender. It was like we got along, and it was like, this is a guy who I banned from my baseball games in high school because I couldn't have him there because, he's that screaming Little League parent, But, it never was close until I made my walk with God. And so the last few years, were just absolutely incredible. I got to just get to know that man and just kind of shared some tender moments with him before I lost my pops a couple of years ago. But, it's just... it's given me a chance to have a relationship with my mother now. It's just the most tender, beautiful thing. And, it's just all to God, It's just all to God. If I had never made that choice to get sober and to make this walk, I would have never gotten to repair those relationships.
Yeah, and what a difference it makes to have had those years that God gave you with your dad, of creating the memories that now you get to go to, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I can just go back, and the last time I was with him, I in Wisconsin, we went to all the spots. I wanted to know everything. It was, take me to your grade school. He goes, that's where we used to play handball against the wall. And like, show me the wall. And now I have those memories and I have those moments, and I still have that relationship with my mom. I try to talk to her as much as I can, like every day almost. She's an interesting 85-year-old woman who enjoys the Cubs and UFC fights. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is.
I love it.
She says she likes the bloody ones. So it's like, all right, Mom, and I call her up and we talk UFC. That's a great relationship.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So kind of taking that and flipping it now to children. Okay, because you and Julie got married at Celebrate Recovery, but you didn't just marry Julie, right? Like you inherited.
No, it was a package set. It came with 3 little monsters. They were 5, 7, and 9. And I can still remember because I have no children of my own at that time. And just what an amazing God that is, that he can put something together like that. These 3 boys lost their father to addiction. And just by the grace of God, he put us all together and turned us into this family, and it was just instant family. And when I say instant family, that means that it was instantly not perfect. And,
instantly messy.
Yeah. When they would say, I hate you, my wife would say, that's what we're supposed to hear. That means we're doing our job. So I got a couple of those right off the bat. And but it was an amazing feeling that I got to become a father,
right.
And I got to celebrate. I just still will never forget my first Father's Day. It was like, Happy Father's Day. And it's just like, wow, what a great feeling. And I am their father, and they call me father. I'm their dad. And it's just been amazing raising them, being a family, watching them grow into fine young men. It's just, when I see them, it's like what they're doing at 20 and whatever, 22 and 24 years of age. I'm just so grateful that they're not doing what I was doing at those ages,
Right.
They're
and that's
good boys.
God redeeming what the enemy has stolen. And God promises us that, right? God promises that he will take what the enemy has meant for our destruction and he will bring good out of it.
Yes.
And so addiction in both lines, both their mom and now their dad, okay, and how as you pressed into your walk, that God was able to work in their lives.
Yeah, and it's been fulfilling to where it hits me at times to where I keep asking myself that question, am I the one? And it's beautiful to have the answer now. It's beautiful to have the answer. I deserve all this. They deserve that. We all deserve a better life. Everything is going to be stolen from us if we let it happen. I used to say that everything is written on paper, and then they're just the lies that we're told and that we believe. But through the walk, I was able to watch that paper dissolve into the water and just disintegrate, and then it's up to me if I'm going to pick up that pen and paper and rewrite them. And, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and that's a really good point because, yes, like Jesus paid for all of it, right?
Yes.
And we can be washed clean, just like that paper. I love that analogy, by the way, of like that paper being dissolved. But we have that daily choice of what we're going to. The Bible talks about whatever you think about, right? Like, let it be worthy. Let it be excellent.
Yes.
Right? And so we can choose to go back to those thoughts if we want to and write out a whole new thing. And actually, sometimes that becomes like more of a prophetic word we're speaking over our lives then. But for you and the boys, I mean, it was not like we used to have so many talks about that journey, right?
Yeah, I think we even threw out a couch once because it was, we did. Yeah, it was, we've had lots of beautiful moments to where it's like, hey, this parenting thing is kind of interesting and help.
Right. And that's what God does, right? Yeah. And part of that journey, which we all learned about as we're walking this journey with the Lord, and whether it's through recovery or Celebrate Recovery or just through life, is that we're not meant to do this on our own. Mm-hmm. And I just have this sense that right now, somebody who's listening or watching this, like you need to know that you have to have people around you, people who know God and who are healthy for you and who will speak life into you, but also kind of hold up that mirror for you. Because sometimes, right, we can't see what we can't see, right? Well, we don't know what we don't know, okay? And community is so important. Mm-hmm. The whole basis of, if you didn't have community around you, then your life would not have ended up where it is today.
That's correct, yes. The field of work that I'm in currently, that I will be leaving, it's filled with addiction. It's filled with lies, and they'll come to me and be like, how did you do it? It's like, well, you've got to put that down first of all. You've got to surround yourself with people who want good for you. When you're in addiction, when you're doing your thing, if you're out there listening and that's what you're doing, and you have a group of people that you call your friends, those are actually the worst people for you. They're the ones that want to keep you exactly where you're at. They're the ones that want to see you miserable like them. So that's the ones you need to stay away from. Separation first. Get yourself around people that want to see you do well. And that's what I got when I got into the community of Celebrate Recovery, church, and faith walkers.
Yeah, because, if you start separating yourself from those that you've been walking with in whatever that sin is, whatever that addiction is, whatever that thing is that's pulling at you, okay, when you start walking differently, those old friends are going to want to pull you back there with them because it doesn't look good. They don't look good in their own eyes anymore if you start separating yourself from them. And so that is a huge thing. And I can't, as soon as you started talking about that, I could feel it rising up inside of me, people that I know who didn't separate themselves and who were lost. Yeah. And they didn't need to get lost again. Yeah. They were on that path. And we both know friends and people who have been on that path, but chose to go back to community that was not from God. Mm-hmm. And so we just so are excited for you who are listening to this, because you are the one that needed to hear this message, that separate yourself from people that aren't good for you, that God has for you people who will love you and support you on your journey. Thank you so much for being with us on Are You the One? God bless you. Have a great day.
Amen.
Thank you for listening to Are You the One today. We are grateful that you chose to get into the messiness of life with us. We pray that you have been encouraged and blessed and are ready to perhaps take that next step. Remember, you are not alone. Please visit our website, areyoutheoneshow.com, for resources and reinforcements to help you navigate your way to the heart of God and His great plans for your life. Join us again next week as together we dive into the deep end of life's issues on Are You the One?